I'm guessing you've heard the phrase, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Well, I've recently learned there's more than one way to work. Now, every once in a while, something comes along, just shakes things up a little bit, changes things up for the better. Now, I'm not somebody that likes change, but I can honestly tell you that since I've started to incorporate an iPad into my workflow, it's changed my view of things. It's never going to fully replace a Mac in my workflow. Of course it's not. There will always be a place for a Mac in what I do, but it's shown me that there's a different way to work, a fun way to work, and possibly even a healthier way to work too. When I started to use it, I really had no idea about how to use an iPad, and I think that came across in the videos. I've always been honest with you. I've never tried to sit here and say, I know it all. You saw a Mac user getting used to using an iPad, including the demon iPad OS as well. But as I spend more time with it, more time getting used to it and finding my ways to work on it, there's been one unexpected rub as well. I feel that it's kind of liberated me a little bit over the past few weeks as well. I'm no longer a slave to the desk. I don't have to be here in the studio working. I don't have to be at home in the studio working there. And that has been a real breath of fresh air to me. And you have helped me with that as well. You're really good at getting involved with these videos and commenting, and you've made some suggestions in the comments about ways that I might want to try working, workflows that you found, things that you're doing. And that's what's helped me grow and use the iPad that much more quickly. Now, when I went to pick my iPad up, as I said, I knew nothing about iPad life. All I'd really heard about was how bad iPad OS is, and also multitasking, and Apple's woeful attempt at multitasking with the poster boy, Stage Manager. So when I got my iPad, I set up Stage Manager. And as I just mentioned, I don't like change. So it stayed that way for 6 weeks. That is until the last couple of days when I've started using Slide Over and Split View. And they brought me a whole new dimension of working on this iPad. Again, change. Certainly when I'm looking to multitask, they've given me a different way of multitasking. It's actually a cleaner way of working, particularly Slide Over. It makes for a very distraction-free way of working. I can say have a YouTube page open or a Safari page for reference. And over the top of that, I can have Ulysses open for writing. And then once I'm done with Ulysses, I can just push it off to one side. As I say, the thing that's really come across to me is that working on the iPad is probably the most distraction-free way of working of any of my devices. Now, I don't know if that's because it is just that little bit of a smaller screen, but when I go full screen on something or incorporate Slide Over, it just means that I'm only looking on the task at hand. And that has been a big win for me. Now, there are still some flaws with it. Sure, I can see that. I'd like it better still if you could resize windows, but unfortunately, that's still quite limited. In Split View, you can resize, but only to the predetermined size of a 2575. And in Slide Over, it's still just that slim task window to one side, which you can have either to the left or the right. But that, for instance, I'd feel better if it could just be dragged out a little bit to make a size that I want. So I get it when people talk about the limitations of iPad OS, but nonetheless, they are great ways of multitasking. And I found now that with the three options I've got, Slide Over, Split View, and Stage Manager, I can find the multitasking view that works best for me on that day with the task that I've got in hand. There is one other way of using the iPad as well and multitasking, and that's with another display. I'm going to be covering that in next week's video, so make sure you get subscribed. And speaking of that, we are getting ever closer to 10,000 subs. And I can honestly tell you, when I set this channel up about 3 years ago, that seemed such a distant dream, but it's within touching distance now. And that's all because of you guys. You are being absolutely amazing to me in supporting the channel. If you're new to this, if this is the first video of mine that you've seen and you're enjoying the way that we sit and talk about Apple gear, take a look around the channel. If you like what you see, dropping that sub really does help. Don't forget also turn on notifications to make sure that you are the first to know when I put a video up. And if you think you've got any friends that might enjoy this kind of video as well, sharing makes a big difference too. So thank you to everybody that's taken the time to sub and just help this channel grow. iPhone 16 season is just around the corner. You better believe that I'm going to be covering that. So every sub that I can get between now and then will go a long way to helping me out. Getting back to iPad though, most importantly, as I said, it's shown me that there is a different way to work. It's helped me step away from the desk a little bit more often. We all get used to sitting down and working in one space, quite possibly the same space every single day. Now, look, I'm really fortunate. I love with a passion what I do, but I generally, or have been, always sitting in just one place, either here or at the studio at home working. Never taking a break, never just give myself that little step away moment. Having done that with the iPad now, because the iPad feels so inviting to want to take with you, it's made a massive difference to, I think, the work that I'm actually putting out. It might just be at home, stepping away from the desk there and going sitting on the sofa and working there. It might be like I sit at the dining table instead, but the main thing is it's given me a different environment into working. Halfway through a busy, long day, suddenly having that change of environment just gives me a new lease of life. It just sparks me on to want to make better content, to want to work better. And that's because I'm now freed from the desk, all because of the iPad. Now, I've never been of the cafe culture. I've not been one of those people to work remotely and to want to go and sit in coffee shops for a whole number of reasons. But the thing is, the iPad, the form factor, the footfall of the iPad just feels so inviting that you just want to pick it up. It's designed to be picked up and taken away with you more than a MacBook Air, more than certainly a MacBook Pro. And I've really bought into that. Recently, I've been getting used to the idea. I've been finding excuses even to get into working away with the iPad and just give myself a break. To be totally honest with you, the script for this video was made at a coffee shop last Sunday. I had a very vague idea of what I might want to make content on, but I had nothing locked in and I was getting a little bit stressed about it. So I decided to step away from home, go get myself a coffee, sit down quietly. I had AirPods on, and within the hour, I had the basic framework in my mind and written down in Ulysses of the video that you're watching now. It actually works. Earlier today, I went and sat on the decking at a local hotel, just again to give myself some headspace, to give myself some free time, to find different ways to be creative. What I do, finding ways to be creative is really important. And I've now realized that rather than trying to sit and force myself to work in the same space all of the time, making those little changes is hugely important. Just a quick word on the actual device itself. I've covered it quite a lot in the last few weeks anyway, but this is the first device that we've seen M4 Apple Silicon in. Now, we're fully expecting, of course, to see it reach the Macs later this year as well. And the first omens to me look really, really good. This thing is so fast, so snappy, apps open like that. It's the quickest device that I've got, bar none. And by the time it makes it into Mac, and I hope iMac as well, I think we're going to see a really significant bump in performance this year. I think this year is going to be one of those big, big performance leaps. Now, if I was me of a few weeks ago, there's something I wish somebody had said to me. Make the Files app your friend. It always kind of been sitting there, certainly the iPhone had been there, but you don't really need it much on the iPhone. But the Files app is kind of similar to Finder in the Mac. Say, for instance, you're writing an email and you want to attach a PDF to that email. Finder is the place to put it. You've got a downloads folder in there as well. No one ever talks about that. It's the silly little things that I try to bring, the honest things. Then you've got the downloads folder. You can find all of your iCloud documents in there as well. I've got, I think, 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes of iCloud storage. I've got a lot in there. All of that's there in the Files app. You can reach your Google Drive folders if you use Google Drive a lot. I'm a massive Dropbox fan. I've got a business plan. I've used it for as long as I've used a Mac. And as much as I said last week that some of the app developers aren't putting enough time into developing apps, Dropbox on the iPad works brilliantly, and it looks just like it looks on the Mac. It works really, really well. That's what I mean. When I get it right, it really does work well. One other thing about the hardware, and that's not new to this particular iPad, but it's that USB-C port that we've got. It's a Thunderbolt port, and that should not be underplayed. If we look at one of the iPad's main competitors, the Samsung Tab S9, that has only got a basic, very slow USB 3.2 port on it with slow speeds of up to 10 gigabits of transfer speed per second. On here, we've got a Thunderbolt port with up to 40 gigabits of transfer speed per second. It's a massive difference, and it unlocks a whole new world of productivity as well. If you buy an Anker hub, like I have here, for instance, I can even Ethernet it when I'm at home to make sure I've got the best speeds possible coming into my iPad. And not only that, if you use cameras or drones, you can use SSD cards, micro SSD cards, and transfer those files directly into your iPad. That Thunderbolt port should not be underestimated as to how powerful it is and the difference that it makes to this iPad. Don't forget, if you've got the correct connection as well, you can even connect up an external DSLR camera to it as well. It just makes this iPad so unique and so different. The iPad, even now, after 6 weeks of using it, is continuing to show me new ways of working, exciting ways of working, different things to try, and I am loving it. I said earlier on, I'm not necessarily one for change, but I'm really embracing the change that this has given me. Certainly the fact that it's keeping me fresh, and hopefully the fresher I feel, the better content I make, and that comes across in the videos that I make, and that's all because I've embraced the change that iPad can give me. I've said it before, is iPad perfect? No, but it's really, really good at what it does, and it's shown me that there's a healthier, guilt-free way of working. I no longer need to be sitting at the desk to be productive. I can take this iPad and work anywhere and still get work done. And it's just been a revelation to me. And that's what I wanted to get through to you in this video. But most importantly, I'd love for you to share with me some of your favorite workflows, some of the ways that you found that you use an iPad in your day-to-day life, some of the things that you think I might not have found yet. Let me know in the comments, because I think, as I say, not perfect, but it's damn good at what it does. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, that subscription makes a huge difference, more than I can possibly tell you. Thank you so much for watching if you've made it through this far, and I'll be back with more content. Don't forget, it'll be about the iPad and multitasking with an external display next week. I'll see you then. Take care.